cautious about trying to sketch out the nature of a future society in too much detail. It's not that it can't be done. It can be done. It can be done in interesting ways, different ways, and has been done. But I think the real question is, to what extent is it important to do it, and to what extent is it important to just try and experiment and chip away at existing structures and so on. Actually, another problem, which I think must be faced, is that at any particular point in human history, people have not understood what is oppression. Mm-hmm. It's something you learn. Mm-hmm. I mean, if I go back to my, say, parents and say my grandmother, she didn't think she was oppressed by being in a super patriarchal family where the father would walk down the street and not recognize his daughter when she came, because you're not supposed to, not because you didn't know who she was, but because you don't nod to your daughter. Sure. It didn't feel like oppression. That just felt like the way life works. I mean, what psychic effects it had internally, that's a complicated question. But as anyone involved in any kind of activism knows, say the women's movement, I mean, one of the first tasks is to get people to understand that they're living under conditions of oppression and domination. Mm-hmm. It isn't obvious. No. And who knows what forms of oppression and domination we're just accepting, yes, without even noticing them. And at some further stage of self-enlightenment and communal understanding, we'll recognize those are things we have to deal with. And we can't plan for them if we don't know about them.
Linked to that, then, Emma Goldman, as she grew older and feared for the fact that there may not be an immediate revolution, became very influenced by, I think, Gustav Landauer, who talked about that the state isn't just out there, it's inside us, that we have to become ourselves as free as we can be in capitalism. That in fact she was always worried that there may be a chance that people won't be ready for revolution, and that there is a way of developing the politics of the personal, so maybe more people could be ready to experience that life that's possible.
That's quite true. I mean, people, in fact, there are, the people who understand this the best are those who are carrying out the control and domination. I mean, in the more free societies like the United States and England, where popular struggles have won a lot of freedom over the years, and the state has limited capacity to coerce, it is very striking that it's precisely in those societies that elite groups, the business world, state managers and so on, recognized early on that they're going to have to develop massive methods of control of attitude and opinion, because you can't control people by force anymore. And therefore you have to modify their consciousness so they don't perceive that they are living under conditions of alienation, oppression, subordination, and so on. In fact, that's what, I mean, probably a couple of $1 trillion a year spent on this in the United States, very self-consciously. I mean, from the framing of television advertisements for 2-year-olds to what you taught in graduate school economics programs. It's designed to create a kind of a consciousness of subordination, and it's also intended specifically and pretty consciously to suppress normal human emotions. So normal human emotions are sympathy and solidarity. I mean, not just for people. I mean, for stranded dolphins. Yeah. It's just a normal reaction of people. And if you go back to, say, the classical political economists, people like Adam Smith, this was just taken for granted. It was the core of human nature. Any society's got to deal with this. Well, one of the main concentrations of advertising and education is to drive that out of your mind.
you.